Welcome back to Anxiety Makes Me Poop. I sure hope this is going through the microphones because Cass and I recorded last week and it only went through my laptop, so it sounded not so great. And then we had a guest come in for the Clopen effect and it never gave me an error. It never told me anything. It just recorded through the laptop so we could barely hear the guest. So that was super fun. The guest has to come back. Not going to say I wasn't in tears last Sunday or last week, whatever it was. It's like all a blur the past couple weeks because of the holidays, and was like, oh no, you have to come back. It was amateur hour for me because I've been doing this for 5 years and I should have known better. So hopefully this is recording through the microphone and hopefully you can hear me and hopefully it's not through the laptop. So, all right, anyways, let's go. We're going to talk about shoulding people. You heard that right. The you shoulds. You should do this, right? So this is what people like to do. And it's because they want to be helpful. You know, you should just relax. You should stop overthinking. You know what you should do? You should look on the bright side, right? And most of the time they're meaning well. My friend and I just talked about this on our run. People really mean well when they say that. And they say, well, you should, because they're basing it on their experience. They don't know all of your background and all of your experience. They're basing it on their experience. So this is what you should do. They're trying to help. They're trying to fix things. They're trying to make things better for you. Here's the thing, though. Our nervous systems don't hear good intentions on that. They hear pressure. Oh, you're telling me that this is what I should do. When someone tells us what we should do, when they should us, our brain often reads it as a judgment or a correction, even if that wasn't the intention at all. And the second that happens, our body, our minds respond before any of the rest of us can catch up. And we immediately take it as a negative. Don't be telling me what I should do, right? It's because the brain doesn't take the time to analyze tone or context when it thinks there might be a threat, right? It automatically goes, oh, we're being evaluated. Cool. Okay. Now we're in emergency mode, right? Now we're in fight or flight. Now we're in nervous system reaction. Our heart rate goes up. Our muscles tighten, right? The digestion starts to panic. We get a stomach ache, or maybe it even slows down. You know, I know a few people on our Anxiety Makes Me Poop page say, oh, that doesn't happen to me. I can't go to the bathroom. Or other people are like, absolutely, run to the bathroom. So all of that kind of reaction when someone says, you know what you should do, and I have to say this before we continue on, is I was a should person. I felt like years ago that I could help people and I would say, you know what you should do, could do, this is what I would do. And if they didn't do what I said, then I would just be like, well, fine. And the only reason that I would start to kind of let go of the situation with a friendship is because if a person complained about the same thing every week, every day, and didn't change it, and I would give them suggestions because they asked for it, I try not to give anything unless they say, what do you think I should do? I try. I know it's hard because we see people and we go, they really need to be doing this. But everyone is different, to each their own. We all have a different past that allow us to choose what we do next, right? Okay. So I used to be that person. And it affected relationships because I would be like, well, you know what you should do? You know what you should do? I don't know why you're doing it this way. You should do it. No, we all have different lives and we all have different pasts. So it ended up affecting friendships and relationships because people would come to me and say, I really need your advice on this. And I would tell them what I think that they would do, and then they wouldn't do it again. And then it would just be this full circle, right, of stuff. And I would finally be like, listen, don't ask me for advice anymore. But on that note, I had to remind myself that everyone is different. Maybe eventually, or maybe they would only take a little tiny bit of what I'm telling them and maybe what someone else is telling them and maybe their therapist and maybe a coach and maybe a family member, and they would bring it all together and they do what is best for them. So that's that side. Okay, now let's go to the other side. Your friend or your family member keeps telling you, well, you know what you should do, you know what you could do, you know what you need to do, all the different phrases, that all means the same. Okay? You are dignified. You're very scientific. You know your life. Only you know your life and know your feelings and know what you've been through. So maybe instead of responding to the you shoulds, you freeze. Or your brain just, goes, oh, well, okay, I should do this, but this is really what I'm thinking I should do because you know you, right? So you either freeze or you people please or you flight or fight or you nod and you listen and you think of the perfect comeback maybe 3 hours later after the conversation. You're like, I should have just told them that. They shouldn't be telling me, they shouldn't be telling me what I should do. Why do they have to do that? That kind of thing. So here's the important part. The person saying you should usually isn't trying to hurt you unless it's a different relationship. I've been through it. I had a relationship where it was the you should, and then people got mad at me if I didn't do what they told me to do. So, they're often uncomfortable with themselves. They have often made mistakes, and so they're trying to tell you how not to make their mistakes. Again, it's our own lives. They want to fix the situation. They want to help, but maybe they want to tell you what they should have done when they were in your situation. Again, we all have different backgrounds. I hope you're following me. The nervous system doesn't hear their help. It hears pressure. What actually helps is something maybe just a little less from the person. So if you're someone that's a should person, or if you're someone that needs to react to a should person, maybe you could be asked instead of told. Maybe you try to be understood before being corrected. Maybe hearing things like, that sounds hard. I'm sorry you have to go through that. Do you want some feedback? Do you want some advice? Or would you like me just to listen today? Okay, so this goes everywhere. You may have to tell the person that's shoulding you, hey, I'm really going through a hard time. I just need someone to listen. Can you be that person? And hopefully they understand what you're trying to say. Or if you're the should person, maybe you could rephrase that. Can I share some feedback with you that you can take or not? Right? If you've ever found yourself shutting down when someone shoulds you, it's not because you're sensitive or broken. It's because your body's doing exactly what it's designed to do. Protect you. I will do what I want to do. Right? What I've learned. Let me make my choices. So the next step is, what do we do when maybe their advice is useful? Without the shoulds. Ignore the shoulds, okay? That maybe it's just a phrase that people use to share their feedback or advice. Can we still hear it? Can we still ingest it? Can we still understand it? Because not all advice is bad. Sometimes it's thoughtful or correct, or coming from someone who genuinely knows what they're talking about. And maybe the problem isn't the advice, maybe it's just their timing and delivery. So if your mind can let go of the shoulding part of it, knowing that your body's already stressed, maybe you're not even in learning mode at the time, so the should is the only thing you hear. You're just in that survival mode. Sometimes even good advice, it may not land right because your brain isn't ready to receive it. So neurologically, the brain can't process new information until it feels safe. So once maybe your heart settles, once your muscles relax, once your nervous system comes out of that threat mode, then you can hear what people want to share with you and want to help. Because sometimes it's just noise or pressure. You should have. All of a sudden you just go, break, stop. So if you can't listen to that person, if you're just not getting it, if it just seems impossible, let them know that. If you can speak at that time, under that pressure, under that stress, you can say, you always have such great advice for me. Could you maybe call me in an hour, or could you send me a message in just a little bit? I'm going to just take a couple deep breaths and be ready for your advice in a little bit. That's putting up boundaries too, right? Especially if it's someone that always shoulds you. Okay, so good advice can land better after regulation, not during dysregulation. Okay, sometimes revisiting the conversation later, thinking about it once you're calm, if you can remember the conversation. Sometimes we don't. I know I don't. I black out. I forget conversations when I'm stressed. So I usually have to let someone know, hey, I'm not here 100%. Can I call you back in just a few minutes? And usually that's all I need. A couple deep breaths and just to calm myself, my nervous system. Or maybe letting yourself decide what applies and what doesn't. You don't always have to listen to people. Maybe their advice isn't good for you. It was good for them. And taking advice doesn't mean accepting all of it or any of it. It doesn't mean obedient. It just means that you can filter through and find what works for you, right? So I want to just chat about one important distinction. You can be open to taking advice, no matter how they say it, without being obligated to follow it. Listening doesn't require immediate action. Understanding also doesn't require agreement. So if you ever thought to yourself, oh man, I know they're probably right, but I just can't deal with this right now. How many people have said that? Raise your hand. That's not avoidance. That's just your mind and your nervous system asking for space. Okay? So I just want you to remember that advice works best when you feel safe, when you feel respected, and when you feel like you still have autonomy. When those places are in place, listening stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like information and usefulness and helpfulness, which is the goal, right? That's the goal of both parties. They might be shooting you and you might be reacting, but the goal is peace and help and advice and support. Okay, as always, we're going to flip this now into a different perspective. What if you're listening to this right now and you're the should person? Like, oh, I do that. I use that word. You know what you could do? You know what you should do? This is what I would do. This is what you should do. First of all, congratulations. That's awareness that you're doing that. Because I did it a couple years ago. I realized and went, nope, not going to do that. Now I say different things. Like maybe you could, but I'm not putting any pressure on that person. That person already is putting enough pressure on themselves. Okay? Most people never get that far to realize that they're a should person. So congratulations if you're realizing that you are. Here we go. You ready? Being a should person truly does not mean that you are controlling or rude. It usually means that you care. You see a solution from their problem and your brain moves straight into that problem-solving mode. And the issue isn't wanting to help. It might be how that help is delivered and received. So not that you can control how people receive your advice, okay? So when your advice, okay, starts with you should, it kind of removes choice, even unintentionally. And I'm speaking this from experience. It puts the person, the listener, in a position where they feel corrected instead of supported. I always felt corrected. My big thing was, don't correct me. I always say that. Don't correct me. I know what I'm talking about. It's because of my past. So if the goal isn't to stop giving feedback, and the goal is to rephrase so that the nervous system can actually hear it, that person that's listening to you, maybe here's how you can do it. Here's how you should do it. Nah, just kidding. First, pause before advising. Ask yourself one quick question. Am I trying to help them or calm myself down? Look at yourself. Because a lot of advice comes from our own discomfort with someone else's struggle. Think about that. Like maybe they're going through the same similar stress that you went through the year before. So you're like, oh yeah, here's how you get out of that. Maybe not though. We each have a different story. So ask yourself, am I trying to help them? Or am I just trying to calm myself down because I learned last year about this, something similar? Okay. Ask permission Like, to take away that defensiveness of that person. Ask permission if they're interested in hearing your advice or feedback. Maybe instead of saying, you should try this, you should do this, you could do this, I wish you would do this. Oh, I always hated that line. I really wish you would do this. And then they would tell me what they thought I should do. Ugh. Anyways, you could try to soften it a little bit. Like, do you want feedback or do you just need someone to listen right now? A lot of people just need someone to listen. Nod, shake your head, eye contact, smile when needed, smile back, hug them if they need it. Sometimes people just need that. They don't need words. Or you could say, can I share something that helped me? Maybe you could take a little bit from it. Those questions and those actions kind of give control back to that person that's stressing out at the time. And maybe you could switch from directive to observation. Like, you should tell someone what to do. Observing or observations share information without pressure. Instead of saying, you just need a break or you should take a break, you could say, I've noticed you've been running on empty. You look great, but I feel like you're running on empty. Or it sounds like you're carrying a lot. Or I like this line, thank you for sharing that with me. Is there anything I can do for you? It puts it back in their court. It puts them in control again. And it has a different impact. So maybe you could just practice some out loud, like different things that sound softer. And maybe you want to share, but don't prescribe. In other words, advice lands better when it's framed as experience, not instruction. Like, oh my gosh, I had something similar happen last year. Would you like to hear how I got out of it? And if they don't, they don't. And if they do, share how you got out of a similar situation. And instead of saying, you should do it that way, you could say, here's what helped me. Maybe you could take a little bit out of this. Or something that worked for me, it might not fit, but here's what I did, right? It just kind of keeps autonomy intact, okay? And remember always that timing matters. If someone is stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, having that, oh my gosh, emotions activated and you can see it on their face or in their body language, their brain is not in intake mode. They're not ready. Even perfect advice will not stick if someone is going through a crisis. So maybe the most helpful things that you can say is, yep, that makes sense. Or I'm here for you. Keep talking, if you want. Or you want to figure it out later? Or do you want to tell me later, especially if they shut down? Don't push it. I see it in relationships too. I actually used to do this in relationships. I would notice that someone was thinking about something and I would say, well, tell me what's going on. Let me help. Tell me. And they didn't really want to talk about it at that time. And then I would get mad because they didn't want to tell me. So then I felt like, well, fine, you don't want to tell me, then blah, blah. It's not like that. When a person's in thought or when they're shut down, or that actually used to happen to me too, vice versa. I would just shut down and want to be quiet and someone would want to keep trying to, dig it out of me. Stop. Stop. I just need a minute, right? Have you been there? And there's nothing wrong with saying, I just need a minute. I just need to breathe. I just need silence. There's nothing wrong with that too. So then if you're that should person, or if you're noticing you're someone that needs that person to talk, notice that. Like they always say, read the room. Notice that. If they're quiet, let them be quiet. It's not about you. If they're trying to calm down, if they're trying to take deep breaths, it's not about you. It's because they're trying to get through the situation. Their nervous system, their mind, it's just going full force, okay? If you're a should person, you are someone that absolutely cares. Don't stop caring. Don't stop listening. Don't stop helping. Don't do it. Don't slow down on the person. They need you. They just don't know how to ingest what you want to tell them. Okay, so this is really a full circle conversation. If you're a should person, be lighter if you can. Listen, cue the room up, understand what that person needs. If you're someone that needs something, but you can't ingest the information or the advice, let that person know, hey, I always love your advice, but I just need a minute. Okay? Advice feels safe when it has a chance to land. Advice that feels like pressure just adds another thing for them to carry. So think about it all around. Think about it all around. We all need each other. We all need advice. We all need caring and hugs, and unless we're not a huggy person, and we all need people to support us. It's just all in the delivery and the acceptance. The fact that you're willing to rethink how you speak, and then on the other side, the fact that we're willing to rethink how we take on advice really makes it worth it when it comes to relationship, friendships, marriages, anything, any type of relationship. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.